Hello wanderers, we are sailing with Azamara in the Greek Isles, and today we are in port in Limassol, Cyprus.
We're on our way to the ancient city of Paphos.
As we disembarked the ship and boarded our coach to drive the 40 miles to Paphos, we learned that Cyprus is the third largest island in the Mediterranean behind Sicily and Sardinia.
Cyprus's crops include oranges, lemons, pomegranates, sugarcane, cherries, figs, and of course, olives. Cyprus also claims to have the oldest named wine in the world, drunk by King Richard of England.
Our first stop was to see the birthplace of a special goddess you may have heard of, Aphrodite.
So we're at our first stop of the day. It is Petra Tua Rubna. I don't know how to say it in Greek, but it's Aphrodites Rock. This is the place where purportedly the Greek mythology where Aphrodite was born. It's that one right there. And she was born in a kind of unusual way. Uranus and Gaia, the earth and the sky, were kind of like stuck together, and their kids were not too happy about this. So one of their kids, Cronus, decided to castrate his father Uranus and cast the testicles off into the ocean. And from the sea foam, Aphrodite was born. Now you may have heard of her, know her as Venus from that famous picture, The Birth of Venus, where she's coming out of the shell all like sexy and everything. That's Aphrodite.
Am I Venus? I don't know what this hand does.
You're my Venus, baby.
So there's Aphrodite's Rock. And all I can think about is that Razor commercial song. I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire. That's what's in my head here.
And so it's in my head too, of course.
After our brief stop, it was back to the coach to drive to our second destination.
The whole town of Paphos is on the official list of UNESCO for the World's Heritage of Cultural Treasures.
Kelly's sleeping.
Look, in my defense, I'm still jet lagged. It's 3:30 a.m. at home. And this bus is cozy and warm.
We are at our second stop of the day, the Tomb of the Kings. UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Not much is known about the tombs of the kings. They date back to the 4th century BC and were cut into the native rock, the spaces sometimes imitating the homes of the living.
Due to its location near the sea, the buried bodies were not well preserved. Excavations are still being carried out at the site to this day.
These are some big stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, watch your head. Well, you don't have to watch your head. I have to watch my head.
I can't see where I'm going half the time. So there aren't any actual kings buried in the Tomb of the Kings. This is essentially a wealthy person's cemetery. If you were rich, you could be buried here. But no actual kings.
I got something that says Tomb of the Kings. Almost fell.
No falling. Look at that plant. Nature finds a way.
So these tombs were originally made by the Greeks, of course, the Hellenistic Greeks, but they were used again and again by like the Romans and then the French when they were ruling the island, and then the British.
And then, of course, every time it passed from one government to the other, they got looted. So I don't know if anyone got to use their treasures on the way to the other side. So we are at our final stop. We're at the port of Paphos, and we're going to enter the House of Dionysus, where we are going to see some of the finest mosaics in the Mediterranean. So this is what the natural rock looks like, and then they broke it into the pieces for the mosaic by hand.
Now, this is called the House of Dionysus because of the multiple mosaics that depict Dionysus. It wasn't actually a temple. They believed that it was a marketplace.
So when the British ruled the area, the mosaics were actually covered by a runway. And it wasn't until the 1960s, when Cyprus became an independent nation, that the mosaics were rediscovered. Now all the stones used in these mosaics are natural, except some of the blues and greens are made out of enamel. And you can tell the difference because they're brighter, but also they're a little shinier.
So we weren't aware when we arrived, but this is an entire archaeological park where there are so many different spots, and we had a little bit of time to walk around, and we wandered into the House of Ion, something like that, and found another gorgeous, incredibly detailed mosaic. Take a look.
Thanks for coming along on this excursion in Cyprus.
We'll see you on the next Greek island.
And thanks for watching us wander.